Yes, good morning. It's another beautiful Saturday, and the show is Perspectives. Usually, you know, I am your anchor, and Yinka Kenny is my name. It's good to be back away from the short break. Will I call it? Yes, short break. Okay, short break. Okay, of the while we had the presidential and the National Assembly elections. And this morning, quickly, I have a news mention here with me. Ondo State Chairman of Nigeria Medical Association, he has disclosed that between January and now, about 15 people have been confirmed killed by Lassa fever in Ondo State. There's a warning to every one of us that we need to be careful. We need to increase on our hygiene, rate, and make sure that when you go out, you come in, you're always washing your hands, and make sure that your environment is rat-free. How that is possible in Lagos, I don't know, but I know that we can try to achieve it, because the Lassa fever, we had a rest from it for some time, but unfortunately it is around the corner. So we need to just improve on our hygiene rate. However, an election monitoring group, Youngsters Foundation, it has said that 43% of Nigerians who called its situation room during the just concluded elections reported harassment and intimidation by hoodlums and political thugs. 7% also reported cases of burning ballot papers. Media and communication officer of the group, Evarista Daudu, urged the INEC and security agencies to adopt measures ahead of the March 9th elections. There's a group called Youngsters Foundation. They have made their own observation, despite the fact that we have international communities saying that the election was free and fair. This group is saying that 43% of Nigerians put a call through to their situation room to complain of harassment and intimidation. However, we want to believe that INEC is going to do something about this in the forthcoming elections. Yes, on the show this morning, I don't come here usually alone, and this morning I am with not sandwiched, garnished. Okay, I'm garnished with as usual, my co-anchor Abi.
Good morning, viewers. Good morning, Nika. So we've upgraded from sandwich to garnishing now. That sounds nice, and it feels good to be back. And 2 weeks break feels like 2 months.
Abby,
but it's so good. It's the ambient, the feeling of being on air, reaching the viewers. It's wonderful, and we assure you of a wonderful time this morning.
Yes, a wonderful time. Talking about a wonderful time, I have also with me in the studio Lagos State gubernatorial candidate of the Action Democratic Party, ADP. His name is Babatunde Olalere Gbadamosi. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Yinka Kenny. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. How are you this morning?
I'm very well.
It's good to have you once again. Yeah.
It's always pleasure to be here.
Yes, we really do appreciate you. We know you are very busy at this point in time, but at this time also the views of people like you are very, very important to us and to our viewers. Yes, this morning we'll be talking about the elections. We all know that elections have come, but surely they are not done yet. Elections and subsequent announcement of a winner, has brought a lot of opera that is yet to go down. Definitely. The courts are said to be busy during this period owing to claims and counterclaims of irregularities, voter suppression, and sadly destruction of lives and properties. This morning, all this we were discussing with our guest in the studio, like I have introduced him, the Lagos State ADP gubernatorial candidate. He will be talking to us this morning about if we're going to be talking about, is it too late already to correct the shortcomings of the February 23rd elections? What are the roles of government, INEC, political parties, candidates, and the electorate as a whole, to ensure that we have an itch-free exercise that will command the confidence of all. We'll be doing all this with our guest in the house this morning. So where do we start from? Okay, let's start from, let's hear your own view of the just concluded elections.
One needs to choose one's words really carefully at this point. Because, the elections fell far short of the standard that one would expect at this stage in our Fourth Republic. We're in year 20 now of the Fourth Republic. This is the 5th round of elections since the Fourth Republic began, and one would have thought that by now we would have learned so many lessons. Let's say, for instance, if you take a parallel look at the banking industry and the way that's come on in leaps and bounds, technologically speaking, since the Fourth Republic began, one would have thought that by now we would have refined the electioneering process, in consonance with the way the banking system has grown, technologically speaking. And unfortunately for us, that's not been the case. And this election, in my memory, I think this is the worst election I've ever seen.
That's in your own view.
In my own view and in my
perspective.
If you look back at all the years we've been having elections in Nigeria, this is the worst elections I've ever witnessed. I never witnessed the wet year elections of 1963. I think there was widespread disturbance in that one. We met it in the history books, we read about the riots and so on. But I think that in living memory, these are the worst elections I've ever seen.
Okay.
Unbelievable scenes in Lagos, of all places, of bandits chasing voters off the line at polling units, burning ballots. I've never seen anything like that. I saw a video of a single, very courageous policeman trying to fend off about six hefty thugs from destroying the ballot boxes at the polling unit. And of course he didn't succeed because he was unarmed and he was alone. But the fact that he actually put some effort into it, I think it brought,
let me cut your thoughts
it
here.
caught the imagination of Nigerians, I think.
Let me cut your thoughts here. Talking about the security agencies, we know we've had a lot of feedback. People are saying that there were not enough security men at each polling unit. And I can remember that going back to Osun State and going back to Ekiti State elections, we know that Nigerians complained bitterly that they had too many security personnel on ground. So what's
I don't think it was anything to do with the number of security men. I think it was more to do with their conduct. It was the way in which Nigerian security men assisted election riggers, assisted people who are bent on disrupting and manipulating the process, the electoral process. It was the way in which policemen were seen, handing out cash to people. Policemen and soldiers were seen stopping people from going to vote.
That's an allegation.
Well, these are allegations. These are allegations that were made by Nigerians.
Yeah.
And we saw some images. We saw some video images of security agencies chasing people away.
Abib, you wanted to say something?
Now, I want to pick it up from where you started from. That's the adequacy of the security. Let's take the Agor case for example. Just one policeman rather. At the end of the day, it was the electorate. The video we saw that was viral everywhere. It was the electorates that were able to catch the perpetrator, as it were. And though it was jungle justice, yes. But what I feel is, if there was enough security, it shouldn't be left to the people to be chasing this.
I don't think that it was not an issue. I don't think it was an issue of not enough security. I mean, not far from the location where the Demola incident happened.
Yes.
There's a police station.
Okay.
There's a police station not far from it. And so, you know, a journalist from another television station actually did a practical analysis of how long it would have taken for police to get to the scene of the incident from that police station, and it was less than 2 minutes.
Okay, with all
it was less than 2 minutes.
With all these happenings now, what do you think? You know, we have seen the results from the past, the just concluded election. You know, we saw the relatively new parties. We saw how they have fared, you know, in this past election. What do you feel? Do you think this relatively new parties, do you think in the forthcoming elections, do you think they still have a chance, or are we out for surprises?
I think it's not really as much about the parties as it is about the candidates, about the individual candidates. That's what this election is going to be about. I don't know if you remember that in Lagos State, you know, many years ago, there was an election where the SDP was the natural winner of the elections. It was expected. Yes, it was assumed by everybody, all and sundry, that the SDP was going to win the elections. The NRC was seen as a party of the North and of the military.
And things took another turn.
And at the very last minute, 24 hours before the election, things swung in a different direction. In a day and age when there was no internet, there was no GSM, there was no social media, you know, Lagosians, you know, together of one accord, agreed that they were going to elect an SDP assembly and an NRC governor, and that's exactly what they did. You know, also here in Lagos, more recently, there was a young man by the name of Kakware in Mushin constituency, Federal House of Reps. He left his party, which was then I think the ACN, in frustration because his ticket had been given to somebody else. And he contested under the banner of Accord, an unknown party, and he won the election. So, you know, it's not really about the party. It's about the individual. It's about the personality, the person that people want to vote for. And I think that this has been a constant refrain in these round of campaigns, where people have repeatedly said it's about the candidate, it's not about the party for them.
Okay, so, picking it from where you stop now, a 35-year-old, you know, won the House of Reps in Ondo State. That's from SDP. Now, can we justifiably say that the not too young to run bill has borne its first fruits?
Well, yes, you could say that, but you know. It's very sad, you know, that this is the crossroads at which we find ourselves, that we're still talking about not too young to run this day and age. But I guess you know, it's never too early and it's never too late. It's come, you know, and I wish more younger candidates had contested. In Etiosa, we saw a slew of young candidates contesting for the House of Reps, including Mr. Bankole Wellington. That election was very keenly contested. Many believe that there was a lot of manipulation involved. But you know, in the coming weeks and months will, you know, put that to the test. Should Mr. Wellington decide to go to test the system.
Guest in the house, Babatunde Olalere Gbadamosi, the ADP Lagos State gubernatorial candidate. He believes that it's better late than never. We've been talking about 2019 elections, observations, lessons learned, and way forward. Please don't go anywhere. We're still here in the studio. We'll be right back after this short break. Introducing Babatunde Olalere Gbadamosi, BOG, Beyond Ordinary Governance.
Beyond ordinary governance is what we're bringing to Lagos State.
Independence-minded.
I don't have a godfather. I don't have anybody that I'm going to be giving returns to.
Well-detailed executable plan.
So from Legalia Yerede all the way to Odiomi, on the border of Lagos State, we're going to be building a 10-lane expressway.
A clear promise to the people.
So we're going to put light in a minimum of 8 local governments within 18 months.
Accountability and prudence.
We're going to link the over 25 islands in Lagos by bridge using the shortest distance policy.
Embrace the future.
We take a bold step of rejecting the past and going with the future.
Vote the man with pedigree, Babatunde Olalere Gbadamosi, as Governor of Lagos State. Vote BOG. Vote ADP.
Yes, welcome back to the show. The show is still Perspectives. You know that here on Perspectives, if it happened, it's happening, or it's been talked about, then we bring you all the footage here on Perspective. In the studio this morning, we've been talking about 2019 elections, observations, and lesson learned and the way forward. And with us discussing this, we've been talking to the Lagos State Action Democratic Party, the ADP gubernatorial candidate in Lagos State, Babatunde Olalere Gbadamosi. Yes, quickly now, we just want to you have said that it's not too late, for us to get surprises. Can you just tell us quickly what should be the role of the government, to avert all this, that all the complaints, all the irregularities and all that? We want to know the role of the government, the role of INEC, the political parties themselves, and even candidates, and all the electorates. What are the roles that we should play in this forthcoming election so that we can have, an election that is, at least credible, at least acceptable to the masses?
Unfortunately for us, our political environment, our political climate has not matured to the point where operators of government see themselves as neutral arbiters in electionary periods. In those periods, they kick into survival mode. It's all about self-preservation for them, or preservation of the perks of office, as it were. So, whilst their role should be neutral, whilst their role should be to take care of the needs of the electorate and make sure that the electorate are able to cast their votes and that the votes are made to count, the sad reality of Nigeria is that the politicians do not see the line between electioneering and public service, and they've infected the civil service with this, so that civil servants see themselves as loyal to the personalities, to the political personalities first, depending on how strongly they tend to project their will. So, for instance, in the case of President Goodluck Jonathan, who decided that he wasn't going to use his office to influence the elections, he was seen as an idiot. He was seen as not too smart, and because of that, he was more or less unceremoniously put out of office in an election that was rife with irregularities. Okay, but the incumbent president, President Buhari, decided that he was not. He actually said, when he was asked the question, what happens if after the elections you do not win? And he says, I'm going to congratulate myself because I will win the elections. Now, it was a hypothetical question. And the fact that he couldn't even countenance the idea of losing the elections to the point where he would be civil enough to congratulate the winner if he didn't win. You just never can tell,
a statement has a lot of undertones, has a lot of...
At the end of the day, he said what he said. That's the most important thing. He said what he said. He was not misquoted. It was live, and it was broadcast. And at the end of the day, I think that statement fell far short of what is expected of a decent president. I think it fell far short. In a democracy, we're not in a military regime. We're not in a dictatorship. Although President Buhari clearly thinks otherwise. He believes that we're in a dictatorship, we're in a tyranny, and that his word. Yes, it's my view. It's a view I hold. It's my view. It's my perspective, and it's a view and perspective that I hold very strongly. Okay, and his conduct since he became, since President Jonathan was magnanimous enough to, concede the elections to him way back then, has fallen far short of what is required of a democratic president.
Let's talk about the
now for the electorate. For the electorate, what we need to do is be not afraid.
Okay.
Because we were afraid in 2015, we elected a government that has proven to be insensitive to our needs. that has proven to be incapable of protecting us, that has proven to be incapable of managing our economy. Okay, and this same government has decided that they're going to use the might of government, the instrumentality of the office, to force themselves, to ram themselves down our throats in this sham they're calling elections that's just taking place on the 23rd.
So in a nutshell, what you're telling all the electorates this time around is not to be afraid.
Do not give in to the intimidation. We have had reports, for instance, we have had reports that a particular politician has called in some public officials in Lagos State here and shared out 750 million naira to
Those
them.
are unconfirmed allegations.
Well, I haven't mentioned names and I haven't told you which officials it is. So, it's up to you to deduce, and that this same person has shared out money to some political thugs, 30 million naira to be exact, to do the same thing that they did at the last election, which was to disrupt areas where the opposition is considered to be strong. Now, what I would say to Nigerians, to Lagosians specifically, is number one, go out and vote. Number two, do not be intimidated. If anybody attempts to intimidate you, intimidate them right back. If anybody attacks you, attack them right back. Because clearly, the security agencies have proven incapable of protecting your right to vote. Your suffrage.
You can't be advising Nigerians to go about doing.
If anybody attacks you, defend yourself.
Okay,
defend yourself. Do not submit to intimidation. Do not allow anybody to cheat you of your right to choose your leaders. Okay, it is your right, and it is your right to reject slavery. It is your right to reject poverty. It is your right to reject those who would not see you prosper. It is your right to reject those who will share rights to you at elections and neglect you for the next 4 years.
All right.
We saw disturbing scenes just yesterday, of a particular political candidate entering government offices here in Alausa and sharing rice to civil servants, and you could see it looked like scenes at an IDP camp. It was unbelievable. You could never believe that these were civil servants.
Okay.
People working in Lagos and receiving salaries from government.
Okay.
They were turned into near animals by poverty. This is the problem I have with the crop of public servants that we have today, especially political appointees and elected officials. The way they've carried on, they've weaponized poverty. They've turned poverty and hunger into weapons of war at elections. And it is up to Nigerians now, Lagosians especially, to decide. You have been humiliated. You have been told that your hunger is what will decide who you vote for at the next elections, that your bellies is what will decide who you vote for at the next elections. This is why they are sharing rice to you. This is why they are sharing rice to you. You must reject those who share rice, who share money, who share whatever, because clearly they're the ones who pauperized you in the first place.
Thank you
and they're using this as a weapon against you.
We have limited time. We got to go.
Plan. So we would expect that you will continue to campaign and do your stuff.
We have to go. We have to leave the studio.
The scenes yesterday is what informed our decision to elevate the salaries of civil servants, to avoid those kind of disgraceful scenes we saw yesterday right here in Alausa.
Okay, you have heard it all from the Lagos State gubernatorial candidate of the ADP, Mr. Babatunde Olalere Gbadamosi. You all know that here on Perspectives we always do not have the time to go on and on and on, but I think the message has been passed. Nigerians, do not be intimidated. Let us all go out to vote. Yes, we won't leave the studio this morning without telling you what's going on social media. We always bring it to you. I think Tuesday we'll talk, our politicians will talk, and Nigerians will talk on Twitter. Yes, on Twitter this morning, I have an official article. He has come out to say, consequently, I hereby reject the result of the February 23rd, 2019 sham election and will be challenging it in court. He also went ahead to say that if I had lost in a free and fair election, I would have called the victor within seconds of my being aware of his victory to offer not just my congratulations, but services to help unite Nigeria by building a bridge between the north and the south. Wow. I'm sure Banky W said something.
Yes, this is
Quickly.
from Banky W. Regardless of the final outcome, I hope we have inspired enough people in our generation to realize what we can achieve when we stand up for ourselves and stand together. We must build this movement and sustain the momentum. This is only the beginning. MCP is the future. NDP rather is the future.
Okay, that's somebody that is, you know, a good loser, as we will say. Okay, then Omo Yele Showre is talking here at official Yele Showre. He has said that the founder of the Popular Showre may have lost in the presidential race. He came 10 out of more than 70 candidates, but the vocal democracy campaigner did so without any big party backing or whatever. He has left that with a question mark. And you see, our Madam Obi Ezekwesili, we have read a lot of tweets from her, and all we can read is, you know, let me just read one of the tweets. I will turn my hand against you. I will thoroughly purge away your dross and remove all your impurities. I will restore your leaders as in the days of old. Afterwards, you will be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Isaiah 1:24. I don't know, our Madam Obi, she's becoming a prophetess after all this saga. Because if you go through all our tweets,
you become a philosopher.
so Isaiah. Anyway, what do we have from you?
Festus Kiyamo, he says, as we celebrate, I urge that we don't do so widely as to put us or others in harm's way. I also urge all our supporters to be magnanimous in victory and not to taunt those who lost. Those who fought us with ideas are not our enemies. They are just patriots with different ideas. Okay,
and quickly the last one, we have our Mudondu at Official Critical Thinking. He said Showre 33,953 votes, Moalu 21,886 votes, Jurotoye 16,779 votes, Ezekwesili 7,223 votes, Tokwe Faswa 4,340 votes, totaling a total of 84,181 votes. Each has over 100,000 followers on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Yet, the total votes from all 5 candidates is less than 100,000. Their supporters make the greatest noise on social media, but forget that there is no polling unit on social media. Was it that they didn't vote or they voted others? Are Nigerian youths lazy, foolish, or what? Yes, Charlie Boy is saying to everyone, every Lagosians, every Nigerians, go out and vote come next week Saturday. Don't stay at home. I'm at home. Make sure you go out and vote your right candidate. And when you go out to the polls, make sure you don't fight. Make sure there's no violence. Make sure you don't vote party. Vote antecedents. Vote
your conscience.
And vote wisely and vote right. Yes, I'm running out of the studio. My producer is just giving me back. Get out of the studio. Abi, from you.
I'll just say bye-bye so that they don't chase me.
Thank you very much, Mr. Babatunde Olalere.
Thank you so much for having me in Kakeni.
We really appreciate your time this morning.
It's been a really interesting show.
Yes, I'm Yinka Kenny as usual. Make sure you do connect with us as usual on social media. Till we come your way same time, same station next week. It's bye for now.